Okay, so we're going to pick it up from where we left off last time. We began the Oz V'Hadar Mishna Beruras, and we left off by where this arrow is in Os Yud Beis. So this was discussing the idea of the Mishna Berura mentioned, talking about when to purchase items. So it's saying that it's better to purchase food specifically on the eve of Shabbos because it will be more recognizable that it is being done in honor of Shabbos, right? However, if something requires a lot of preparation, for example, meat, and you need to salt it and something similar, so then that should in fact be purchased on Thursday. That should be purchased on Thursday if it requires a lot of time. Right? So that's basically what the Mishna Berura said, and especially in the summer where the days are shorter and there's less time, so the earlier a person could prepare for Shabbos will be the better. Okay, so let's take a look now down below. Os Yud Beis. All right, so the Magen Avraham brings this, and that the preparation should be done on specifically Erev Shabbos, Friday, and for Kabbalistic reasons, the Shara Kavanah says that's the Arizal. So another interesting idea, Kabbalistic reasons. The Shloh writes, Kosav b'Shloh Kosav, V'nir Dezehu Davko, B'inyoni Ma'acholim, Shehim Yoiser Arevim, U Mutim, Le'echol, Im Koiner Sam Erev Shabbos. This is talking about what? Specific food items that taste better to eat when you purchase them on Erev Shabbos, on the eve of Shabbos. Similar to how that they allowed food preparations on Yontif. Okay. Aval inyanim sheim tovim mitukanim v'yafim kishakanim some called Erev Shabbos kamo Erev Shabbos. But if you have food items that taste just as good if you would buy them not Erev Shabbos, so then you could buy them before. On the contrary, it's better to buy them earlier. So this is a very important shlah regarding these halachas because a person could easily learn this Mishna Berura, could easily learn it and come along and say, oh, now I should really try lechatchila to buy everything specifically Erev Shabbos. Comes along and says, no, you don't need to do that. We're talking about buying items Erev Shabbos. That's items that taste better when they're super duper fresh, such as you're buying challah from a bakery or something. But if it's not like that, so then it's better to do it earlier. Very important halacha. So the machazik bracha, he brings a machlokes regarding this halacha. Yeah?
Oh, sorry, clearing my throat. Go ahead.
All right, no problem. I would give you a virtual cough drop. I'm giving you a virtual cough drop. Sheladas hakorban Shabbos loy nemar hapasuk shehechino biyom vav davka. That when it comes to, right, according to the Korban Shabbos, we don't say the pasuk that you should prepare. It has to be specifically on Friday. That pasuk is specifically referring to Malaman, who was impossible to prepare beforehand. However, nowadays, if it's possible to prepare before, so then that will be preferable. It will be reason magdim in the mitzvahs. Yeah?
It's funny, nobody else mentioned that.
Right. That is an interesting point. So saying that it's only the Aval, das Seder Ayom, that's because of the Seder Ayom, and the Mishnah Berurah went this way. Ein Akin. Al she'ikr mitzvah chani hidavka b'yom vav. Seder Ayom learns no. The preparation should be specifically Friday because of Shama Machzik Brachshkinu al Pisod, also for Kabbalistic reasons. So, but this is an interesting sheet of the Machazik Bracha, nevertheless, that the pasuk is specifically referring to Man, but it seems like the Mishnah Berurah and most of the poskim aren't going that way. They are going with the route that it is best to buy the item specifically on Friday. But I think that the shlah is very insightful over here. If it tastes better, if it tastes just as good when you buy it earlier, so then to buy it earlier. I think that's an important shlah. Okay, this footnote continues. We're going to go where it says, the highlight section, Lasois al sad hayoser tov ha'evshari bechuko latzeis yidei choiva behachanas sarchi Shabbos. Hakol lefi mashu adam bal yechoilis ulefi hamakom imhu bal shavakim oila. V'imhu roya sheyoyser tov lahaktim ha'achana sarchi Shabbos yagdimim. Afilu mitchilas hashavua kedivri beishamai mechad b'Shabbos l'Shabbos. The Abates is commenting on the Seder Hayom over here and saying, look, the Chacham, he's got to foresee what's going to happen in the future. Chacham Mishna Berura means his eyes are in his head, meaning he's going to look in advance. And he has to make a cheshbon like this. He has to fulfill his obligation of the preparations of Shabbos according to the person and the case, the place that he's in. Right? Is he in an area like we're in where they pretty much never run out of food? So you don't need to worry. But if he sees that no, it's for some reason it's better to prepare Shabbos earlier, so you should even do it from the beginning of the week, like Beis Shammai. So in other words, he's got to make an assessment and really assess how much he could get done Erev Shabbos, and if there's not time for that, and then he has to get it done before. You got to know your situation.
Who was it who said before that that this is a place where we can hold like Beis Shammai because it's a different situation?
Yeah, I mean we discussed that this is more of it is halachic, but it's also hashkafic. I mean, there is a ritva in Masechah Shabbos on Chaf Aleph. The Bear Halacha actually says this pshat. It seems like he didn't have a version of the ritva, and he was machav into what the ritva said, that the machlokes by Ner Chanukah of if you light from 8 to 1 or 1 to 8. So the Gemara over there on Shabbos brings a ma'isa that someone went like Shammai. So the question is, how could you go like Shammai? The Gemara in Brachos talks about that also Kedivri Beis Shammai loss of lo klum. You did like Shammai, you didn't do anything in your Chayiv Misa. The sugya starts over there in the bottom of Yud Beis. It goes to Yud Aleph. So they explain that shot over here is that because they're arguing on not something that's Me'ikar Hadin, they're arguing on a Mahadrin. Meaning everyone agrees that you could fulfill your obligation of Ner Chanukah just with one Ner. And that's all you need, one Ner. But the question is why? The question is what's the optimal way of performing the mitzvah? So that's the machlokas 1 to 8, 8 to 1. All machlokas we showed them there also. Achronim, Tafresh Ayin Aleph, Siman Tafresh Ayin Aleph. So therefore, the Be'er Halach, the Ritva, they both say that if you're arguing on a hiddur, so then it's fine. So too over here. The Hachana Shabbos, obviously, anytime you buy the food is fine. We're talking about the optimal way of doing so, though, halachically. So therefore, according to that, you could also go like Shammai, perhaps. Yeah. Long answer, right? It was a long answer I gave.
No, but it was no. That's I remember now. That's what we talked about. We brought all the Yanim in.
New topic. It's good to say on everything that you purchase that you're purchasing it in honor of Shabbos. Just remind ourselves of the Shulchan Aruch Harav that we learned last week. If a person won't verbally specify that he's purchasing it Kavod Shabbos, and minimally he should think it.
Wait, is this when you pick it up, or is this when you're at the register?
This is look. The answer to that question is in Halacha L'Moshe Mitzinai. If you're thinking it, or if you're saying it, you're already ahead of the game.
Well, it says
they had this. I thought of what we're learning over here. I mean, I think of it all the time. I share it with other people who I buy them to. Ask them questions, stump them. One of the questions that I stump people with is, I don't understand. It says in the Gemara in Shabbos on Kuf Yud Tes that 5 or 10 different Amoraim were personally involved with the preparations of Shabbos. I don't understand. Isn't it Bittul Torah? Because other people could do it, right? So I say, so no one ever has an answer for me. And I said, if you're interested, look at the Shulchan Aruch Harav and his Kuntrus Achron and Siman Reish Nun. So, anyways, so this is saying that what? So this is saying that look, you should. So this is what I was thinking. So I saw this they had this kids music video on, and it plays like Shabbos songs, and it shows like a video. It's like a 7-8 minute video or something. It got a lot of views, and it shows how the kids are like, they're involved with Shabbos, and there's a whole Suda and the Tizmiros and all that stuff, and so in the beginning of it talks about there was a episode where the kids are in the store and shopping with the mother, and then the song's going like, oh, and then the kid goes, "This is in honor of Shabbos," when he takes the food off of the shelf in the supermarket. So obviously we're not gonna bring a halachic raya from a little video where, right, the people who made it probably don't know, what we're doing over here, but
Still a mila, they brought that
yeah,
down.
no, very nice. Obviously, whoever did it, obviously, they definitely had some, halachic background. There's no question there. Very nice that they did it. But when does this apply? I don't know, as long as you're just thinking it, that's the main thing, or saying it, you're already ahead of the game. But I think they're gonna bring down, we might have already learned this also. We'll have to see when we do the notes on the Chazar and the summary of the Simon, that it's not specifically talking about if you're buying something. We might even see it now in this Yagima. I don't remember because I just went through this a while back. But it's anything that you're doing. You say you're doing it in honor of Shabbos, like you're going into the bathroom before you shower. So before you go into the bathroom, say, or think, I'm doing it in honor of Shabbos. The question, of course, becomes stam kavana kimiskavin dami alav kimiskavin dami. That if you don't think about anything, is it just assumed that you're doing it in honor of Shabbos or not? The answer to that question could be based on what the Mishna Berura quotes in Siman Samach Sifkat and Yud, where he talks about the halachas of mitzvah srichas kavana, and basically the Shulchan Aruch paskins that a person needs to know before they do a mitzvah that they're doing the mitzvah for the sake of a mitzvah, and if you don't fulfill your obligation. That's the machloi, that's the massive sugya, or the many sugyas in Shas which discuss mitzvah srichas kavana or not. It comes up towards the end of Psachim, comes up in brachos, it comes up all over the place. So there's bigger 3 or 4 places where it comes up. Rosh Hashanah. So the question becomes it's the beginning of second parak brachos. That's the first place it comes up. So the question becomes, like, many people don't even know that you need to have the intention before you do a mitzvah, that you're having in mind to do it for the sake of a mitzvah. So the Chayyim says if it's evident, if it's recognizable that what you're doing is you're doing it for the sake of a mitzvah, so then it's as if you have kavanah even though you didn't. That's the Chayyim. So to over here, probably you could apply that. That's tam kavanah kimiskavin dami. And if you just weren't thinking anything, it's assumed you're doing it in honor of Shabbos. Again, that would be a leniency, what I just said. Preferably, you should verbalize it. If you're not going to verbalize that you're doing it in honor of Shabbos, minimally have a mentally think about it. If you're not going to mentally think about it, so then maybe you could rely on this concept of that it's evident that you're doing it in honor of Shabbos. Why else would you be buying this specific type of meat that you're going to put in the challah? Obviously, you're buying the flankin to put in the challah, something like that. Some other obscure type of meat that typically you wouldn't buy. See what he says over here. I know, but time we're going to do your dal first. Shemirav Tzadik Miriminov. Shim Kedusha Shabbos, you're the Kolmini Ashva Shabbalam Vaisha Shir Yurt Lakabal Ashval Yoino, who Mochur Kalhavi Rotan El Adibor. Plom Lakavar Shabbos Bashvad Yerim Malamal. So the Riminov is the Rebbe is saying like this: when the Kedusha of Shabbos starts raining down on us, when the Kedusha of Shabbos comes in, it starts raining down on us all of the hashpaos, all of the abundance of the world. So someone who knows how to accept this abundance from above, he has to bring the Ratzon to the Dibur. He has to bring his desires to his speech. He has to specify that he's doing it in honor of Shabbos. And then that abundance will just rain down, it will come down. So that's the Rimanover's Pshat on the Dibur. Let's go to take a look at what the Shla says over here. Footnote Yud Gimel. Kol ma shekoinu meichenu mevashel Shabbos. Here it is. Dr. Shla. Anything that not only you purchase, but anything that you prepare and cook for Shabbos. Yomar, you should articulate. Davar zeh ani kona o mevashel kavod Shabbos. This I am purchasing or cooking in honor of Shabbos. Va'az mispashit hakedusha bezeh. And then the holiness will spread. Bezeh hatavshil, with this dish. Bereichoy noidif me'ein ruchni. And it will smell a type of spiritual smell. V'akol lefi mashu adam. It depends on the person who kefi shir ma'asav machshavasav v'kusa. Depends on the person how much he's connected to Hashem, says the Shla, according to his actions and according to his thoughts. In other words, so above, case dependent. You know, can't just say it and then the lip service is being done. You want to mean it. Vihine. Rak al mashakoina kasav Mishna Berura. Mishna Berura only writes on something that you buy, Lomar King. You say L'kavod Shabbos Kodesh. Flow his kiyum hashemechem avashol. Mishna Berura doesn't mention what you prepare and cook for Shabbos that you should say L'kavod Shabbos Kodesh. That's also the language that's used by the Magen Avram. Ubekisvi Hari, and that's also mentioned in the Arizal. V'kol mashi yikni yomer. Anything that you purchase, you should say. Ubeshulchan Aruch Harav Kosav, in the Shulchan Aruch Harav, which you already saw inside, writes Tov Lomar Kol Davar Shekona Zeh L'kavod Shabbos Tzchim Mochu Oisu Tov Lachshov She'os L'kavod Shabbos. Shulchan Aruch Harav says you should think and verbalize that you're doing it in honor of Shabbos. You should daktik. L'shono al kol masha koni yom l'kavod Shabbos l'mekor Magen Avram b'shem Ksav v'od Hosef shel kol masha oisi yachshov. V'nira shedin zeh mekor misif har yurim l'arbini yon shekasom gav shekasi yachshov l'assos l'kavod Shabbos v'hainu af al rechitza. So the source of this halacha is in the Sefer Ayira, written by the Rabbeinu Yoin, and he says, whatever you do, you should think you're doing it in honor of Shabbos. So that includes your Erev Shabbos shower. Certainly on other preparations of Shabbos, that you're preparing in honor of the Sud of Shabbos and something similar. So in other words, exactly what I said before we hit this footnote, that really everything that you do, not just something that you purchase. Then he says, look at the Sefer Or HaChama, who explains the difference as to why the Mishna Berura and these others only mention when you purchase something, then you should think or specify, the Mishna Berura said, you should verbalize that you're doing it in honor of Shabbos as opposed to other acts. He doesn't even quote where it is in the Sefer Or HaChama. I mean, I would assume when you're buying it, so that's more of the... No, but you could ask a question also. Preparing the food is an ikar of Achana Shabbos. Why? Just because there's money involved. So therefore, because there's money involved, so now there's more of a reason to say you're doing it in honor of Shabbos. Maybe it's not as recognizable as opposed to cooking. It's more recognizable. I don't know. But it seems like halacha lamaisa, one should have this in mind in everything that he does in honor of Shabbos. Say a little funny story that just happened to me recently. This line over here, where he said, let me get a double highlight. This line over here, when he says, whatever a person does in honor of Shabbos, saying that this is in honor of Shabbos, the Shla said, it depends on the person and his actions, his thoughts. So recently there were a few people who came over to me and one of my chavrusas when we were learning in the Beis Medrash, and comes over, someone who I used to learn with, and he gives me his an invitation for his bar mitzvah that's coming up in like, I don't know, 5 days or something. Last minute invite. So turns out that I didn't realize someone else who I know who learns in the Beis Medrash, he was his uncle. So it was this last week, Vayechi. So I asked the boy, I said, Parshas Vayechi, you're laying the whole thing. Yeah, let me ask you a simple question on your Parsha. Vayechi, most people don't have a lot of divrei Torah to say in Vayechi. Not a lot of Chedushim, but there is a lot. So why is it called Vayechi if it talks about Yaakov's death, Yosef's death? Why does it talk about life? So kid had no clue. So I said, let me know next time. So he left. So his uncle stayed there, and he goes, why? What's the reason? So I told him. He said, that's a good idea. Do you mind if I use this for my bar mitzvah speech that I have to give for my nephew? I said, sure. So he starts to, so then he ended up recording me. I gave him a little thing, and he went through it. He started telling me, I was going to use Chat GDP or AI. I don't even know what he was saying to do his speech. I'm like, look, I don't know what's going on with those things in terms of writing speeches, but I know this. He said, the speech, when it comes from a Yid, comes from the Lev. The Chat GDP, this, that. He ended up telling me, he said, he showed me what he did. He said, you could talk and say some things and then it writes it in a fancy way or something. I don't know. It's got to come from the Lev, It's obviously a qualitative difference when it's coming from an AI Chat GDP situation versus someone who is, prisoner in the base medrash for many years.
Oh,
Right?
what a disaster.
Yeah.
It really is. Well, people aren't gonna have to think anymore, and they already are. That's it. We're at the.
Yeah. Well, you gotta. The main thing you want to cheshbon is that it's not, apicorsis, and that it's saying something logical. So obviously, the guy knows to read the thing and to make sure that it's good. I remember I once went to a certain simcha. I was like, oh wow, that's written in a very sophisticated way. Whatever this that. I asked the guy after, oh, where did you prepare? He says also same method of prep. Said the same thing. It actually wasn't bad. Honestly, it was not bad. It was not bad at all. But just because a guy has a speech and fancy words are being used and it sounds nice, if you break it all down, a lot of times the actual point is very shallow that's being made. He's not really saying much. It's just fancy words.
I want to hear the shot.
Yeah, you'd be surprised with this.
No, I want to hear. What did the Rav tell the bar mitzvah?
Vayechi.
Uncle?
So the pshat is that, well, first of all, we know that Yaakov, the Gemara in Tainis Tafei says that Yaakov vino lo meis. Machlokes, what that means physically, spiritually,
Okay.
but basically an idea from what we discussed also in Parshas Chayesar when it talks about death over there, why it's called the life of Sarah Shidon. The idea is that the Torah lives on in other people that she affected and Talmidim that a person has and the Svarim that a person leaves and all that stuff and tying it into bar mitzvah,
All
right.
right.
Now, Mishna Berura continues and said like this: even though a person prepared for Shabbos on Friday, behashkama, mitzvah yilich achilish Yosef. In other words, a guy kept the halachas that we're learning and he got up early. By the way, I'm asking everyone a test question right now. Question is, what does it early mean according to the Be'er Halacha that we learned a few sessions ago, that you should wake up early in Erev Shabbos? Who remembers?
Did you say Yashkim meant even before davening?
Yeah, I mean, we discussed that, but what's the latest that early meant? There's a very specific technical point that we learned very quickly.
Solid shows.
Very good, close. 3 hours, 3 halachic hours into the day is considered early. Very good. So, we learned about davening. If nothing will be available, preferably you daven first, but nothing will be available, you could do before. Okay, so this is talking about you woke up early, you were involved with the Chana Shabbos, you went to the I don't know if you go to the bakery, wherever you go, to the grocery store, you went early. Now, it's still a mitzvah to do something, the Mishna Berura said, Bein Hashmashos. So the obvious question for any normal person who learns this Mishna Berura that should pop out at them is, what do you mean? The Mishna Berura says you should be preparing for Shabbos after sunset? It's already Shabbos. You can't do muktzah then. How are you preparing? You can't cook then. There's an Isser Bishul. It's one of the malachas. So what this means, and this is a very important line in the Ozva Ha'adim Mishna Berura, your claimer samach l'Shabbos mamish. This doesn't mean that you're preparing on Bein Hashmashos. This means that you're preparing near the time of Shabbos. In other words, do something closer to when it gets to Shabbos so it's recognizable that you are doing it in honor of Shabbos. And that's what the pasuk means when it says Vayha Mishnah. Kloimer she'achinu shein is to prepare a second time. Very important explanation provided by those Vahadar and Mishna Berura. They quoting a footnote Tez Zayin. It's implied from all the poskim, including the Torah Shabbos. That's one explanation that the Torah Shabbos provides. Bein Hashmashos already is suffix. However, it could be another explanation, is that which the Ben Ish Chai explains, to do something Bein Hashmashos which is permissible to do on Shabbos. In other words, the wife starts preparing what she's going to bring out to the table now. She starts with the prep, what she's going to bring out when her husband comes home from shul. So that could be another explanation.
Wait, I thought we're not supposed to have so much out on the table. Wait, what was this?
No. But you prep it. In other words, all chefs, they prep what they're going to bring out before they bring it out. Especially if it's not food that gets bad by sitting out. Sometimes more room temperature style of foods. Footnote Tez Zayin, Tez Vav. ולפי דבריו אין המכוון שמשאי דבר להכין וסמך לבין השמש אלא שקודם כי זה שבס בוידיק שהכל מוכן. Right. Another explanation of what this means, near the time of Shabbos to be involved with the preparations means that everything should have been done already. You go into Shabbos peaceful, but you do a double check. It's like when you're going away for Shabbos, you go through that checklist that you have. Oh, did you remember everything? Did you not? So that's what this is over here. Do a double check then. So this is saying. That's another explanation. Okay? Good. Now we're going to go to Oz Vahadar PDF file Gimel. There are 10 PDF files, but do not get overwhelmed because the last 5 are like nothing really, as we'll see. Okay. See what we could tackle now with the 5 remaining minutes that we have. Shammai said, you take anything from the marketplace in the beginning of the week. And if it was good, you're going to say that it's going to be for Shabbos. They said about Shammai that even during the week, he was eating in honor of Shabbos. If he would find something good in the marketplace, he would buy it. He would say, this is in honor of Shabbos. If he found the better one, so then he would eat the first one and save the better one. So everything that he was doing was in honor of Shabbos. But Hillel, he had a higher level. He wasn't worried about Shabbos in the middle of the week at all. He had a tremendous amount of belief in Hashem. That for sure, Hashem would prepare him good food in honor of Shabbos. And he would say, Hashem will provide our needs. So the poskim say, surprised in this case, that everyone should go like Shammai. Rather, if a person has a higher level of belief in Hashem, then he could go like Hillel. That even just waiting for Erev Shabbos to buy something that will be good for Shabbos. But other regular people who don't have such a high level, even Hillel would agree that going like Shammai is better. So you see another reason as to why you could go like Shammai would agree. Because Hillel only said his opinion for people at a high level of bitachon. But he agreed that for the average person, better go like Shammai. And then he said, then the Mishna Berura said that it's obvious that something that isn't common, an uncommon item to buy, that if you're not going to buy it now, it might not be available, for sure you should buy it. Then and there. So that's another answer, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
But no, Yodches. Even though we explained earlier, we said that it's better to buy Shabbos food, specifically in Erev Shabbos and not before. Shabbos that is going to be recognized in honor of Shabbos. So how then could Shammai buy food so early? So it's implied from the Seder Hayom that Shammai was concerned that there might not be a good animal, good meat that will be available later in the week or on Erev Shabbos, so therefore he purchased it earlier. which goes back to you have to know your environment and if they run out of food or not. All right.
Right.
So I don't want to rush this footnote. So I'm going to put an arrow over here, and Amir Hashem, tomorrow we are going to pick it up from this. Everyone should have a wonderful day. Bruchim Piyah.
Right. That's Hashem tomorrow.
Okay, great.
Okay. Thanks, Rev.
Yeah, sure.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.